All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Fort Worth Community Arts Center and our boxed lunch program. Things are going crazy in the world. We are opening back up, and I think for the first time in a year, I'm actually at the office today in our break room here at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. And we are so very excited to have another fantastic artist with us today, the one and only Michelle Cortez Gonzales. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm good, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, we are so very excited to have you. And before we get into things, do you mind taking just a moment and introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Okay, let's see. Well, I'm Michelle. I am home and grown here in Fort Worth, and I'm an artist. I'm a painter, and I'm just recently for the 2021 year, I'm one of the Carter Community Artists, where I get to help the education program, help develop programs, and do some fun stuff.
Awesome. Now, it's called Box Lunch for a reason. What is on your lunch menu today?
Okay, so I tried to be ambitious, but I did a lot of prep work ahead of time. So I'm gonna do tacos. So I'm making the corn tortillas, and my filling is gonna be ground turkey meat with nopales or cactus. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm making.
Awesome, very nice. Well, things are a little different for me today. I also did some pre-prep work and brought it up in a Tupperware container. And the ironic thing is that I think we have like microwaves and little ovens and all kinds of stuff here at the Art Center. So I will be warming up my shepherd's pie as we continue to bring the fold back to live theater and things at the Art Center. So we made the shepherd's pie the other day, and I know that some people love shepherd's pie, some people not so much. So I'll be happy to share some basic ingredients and prep work for that, but I am just reheating today. So I look forward to some nice nutritional tacos and always some insightful information about how to make those the best that they can be. So Michelle, as we venture into this, how are you doing? How was the pandemic for you? And are you excited that we're maybe starting to see a little bit of a light at the end of this tunnel?
Um, well, first of all, let me say that the pandemic, like everyone, it's been a whirlwind of emotions and feelings. I did lose during the beginning of the pandemic. I lost a teaching gig, and so I just decided I was going to take the year off to teach, which has been really great for me. Um, and although I've had a lot of time to create, I during this time because I've kind of dealing with sometimes just dealing with like being distracted here at home and then also with everything else that's going on outside the world. So there's like this two things are happening. It's like you have all this time, but you're a lot. But I mean, I think just knowing that eventually things will turn around, learning myself how to pivot and how to see my work differently as we are all having to shift and adjust. So I think just knowing that it's going to be okay, we will adjust, and just waiting for that moment. But yeah, I think that my process in making work is really slow. And so for me, I've really taken my time to kind of process. So I probably will be able to kind of reflect on that maybe a year after this is all gone. But yeah, I'm excited for things that to be opening up. Now, I'm a little, I guess, anxious about the mandate that's been released. Now you don't have to wear a mask when you're out vaccinated, but I think I'm more concerned about those who have decided not to be vaccinated. Um, I think I will still continue to wear my mask since we still don't know you know, how it's going to turn out, and just looking at other countries for as examples.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you
Did I
on
answer all your
many.
questions?
Say again?
Did I answer all your questions?
I,
I'm
th- I
trying to
think
remember all of the ones you asked. So.
I think you did a pretty good job. I share a lot of those concerns as well, and I know that many of us have been fortunate enough to be vaccinated, and we're putting a whole bunch of faith in that. As I sit in a building unmasked, I am still got the doors locked, so I know no one will come in here with me, and it is continuing to be as much of a mental reckoning in terms of what we are comfortable with and what we're not. And, there's going to be a lot of faith placed as people continue to move forward without masks. And I share your concerns. I'm not so much worried about myself or the people who I know are vaccinated. I really do share some concerns with people who are rolling the dice and just coming out in the world and seeing how things happen. So I agree. I'll do my best to protect not only myself but those around me, and and hopefully things will work out. I know that we still have a ways to go, but there are some encouraging signs. Michelle, I'm curious. While you're prepping your tacos there, did you find the pandemic to be a benefit or a burden for you artistically? Did ideas come to you? Did you feel a responsibility to create? Or did you just kind of settle in and see what muse came to you?
Again, the word ironic comes to mind. I've been blocked. I've been dealing with a lot, but at the same time, I've had more opportunities now as an artist, and have encountered a lot more visibility. So, I mean, there's these two sides of the coin. So it's been really nice. And then on top of that, with the Amon Carter Museum, I have still been able to teach a little bit through Zoom. It's a different world,
Yes.
but still able to do it. And so I am thankful for that. So it's just like, kind of struggling with one of those every day. But yeah, like I said, my process is really slow. I work really slow, and sometimes I think as an artist, you make work and you're just thinking like, is it even worth? What, am I doing anything right? Like right now, why should I even create if it's not going to be reflecting the times? But I think just being and living in what we're living in, we're all affected, and that comes out through the work. And so I feel sometimes when I'm a little anxious or stressed about that concern, because it does concern me, I have to remind myself that I'm living now, and I'm experiencing the same things that everybody else is experiencing. I've had loss through COVID. I've seen, all of the racism and all of the things that have been happening, and it affects me. And I'm just portraying that in my own way. So.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I've gone back and forth about as an artist, where is my responsibility? Is it to myself and to produce and perform, or is it more in supporting those around me? And one of the things that I've been very fortunate and grateful for is this particular platform and the support of the Arts Center to do all I can to make sure that the messages are getting out there, and to provide an outlet or an opportunity for local artists and people in the area to be able to share with us how they've been doing, what those struggles are, and what they're hoping to accomplish. So it's certainly been challenging, to say the least. I have leaned very hard on our artistic community, and they continue to support me and fill me up artistically. So I'm hoping to continue to do all I can to make sure that their voices are heard, and they have an opportunity to speak their piece, and I think it's important that we all understand and are aware of what we're all going through. The pandemic pushed us all inside very quickly. And I'm not sure everyone had the opportunity to vocalize their struggles, their concerns, and also their hopes with the way things turned out. And now here we are a year later, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Do you think there's going to be a artistic renaissance, so to speak, as more of the companies and opportunities are opened up? I myself am really expecting some fabulous work to come out of this. Are you anticipating the same
Yeah.
thing?
Well, I do. I mean, I think it's already happening. When the things go awry, I mean, we always look to artists. I don't think that artists usually have the answers, but I think that just through expression and that boldness to express in the way that we express, I think that people look to that and for a sense of comfort or some connection. And so I definitely already see that happening. And I think now more than ever, art's becoming more accessible. Whereas before, it could be a little intimidating for some people, especially viewers of art. And now through virtual online things, it's like bringing people together. And even though we're able to reach people globally, I think what's happening is that we're really collaborating in our communities. So things are happening a lot more locally, which is really, really amazing. So I love that aspect. And I want to go back to the effect of COVID and all of the inequities that are happening right now. I think that as an artist, my work has, I mean, these things have been happening prior to COVID, not COVID, but just inequities and all of these issues have been happening for centuries. And I think that with COVID, being isolated and being stuck at home, and now having this accessibility virtually, we're seeing it at a larger scale. And so, I think that my work, although it's not very upfront, it still deals with these things and these issues, but in my own way that I do it. So a lot of my work has been dealing with isolation or invisibility. Yeah, so I love what's happening right now in the art world. And I think that businesses will definitely need to connect with artists and creatives, just to because we engage, there's a way to engage people with art that is something. And I think that business people, they're already taking that opportunity to connect with people through art. So that's really cool. And I think also that, we've been really comfortable. I think I love shopping, and I'm somewhat of an introvert. So I love this time. And I think it's going to be interesting how we move into getting people out. I mean, I know people are still desperate to have contact and be out, but I think there's also going to be a little bit of anxiety, especially with this new information we've received about the mandate or not having to wear masks. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Who knows?
Yeah, I think you're putting it lightly. So I'm curious, Michelle. I have all these conversations with artists, with patrons that have been trickling into the Arts Center. Why is it important for people to get out and experience art? What's the value in that? What are your opinions on that? I know what my own are, and I think everyone should, even if they're still wrapped in plastic. What are your opinions about the benefits of people re-entering not only society, but also that artistic experience? What are they going to get out of it, and why should they?
Oh man. Well, I think that being able to see artwork in person is such a different experience. For speaking just as a painter, I love painting and paintings because it's one of the only mediums besides music that can surround you. You can stand in front of a painting and you're in a different world all of a sudden. Seeing the textures, seeing history that's been created throughout time. All of those different reasons for me is why I think you should get out and see art and also hear art. My husband's a musician, and so I love music. My father was also a musician. Myself, and you just feel connected in a way like no other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've told a few people I've been involved in the arts for a long time, and music still remains one of the few disciplines that no matter what it is or whether I enjoy it or not, it always pulls me in. And it's been another lifeline through all of this. So, Michelle, do you mind talking a little bit about the Amon Carter? How has attendance been? Are you seeing positive opportunities with people coming in and visiting the museums?
Well, I'm not at the museum, so as a community artist, I've been doing everything virtual. So when I work with their education department, it's been virtual so far.
Right.
So if we have any classes or lessons that we're teaching, everything's been online. But I think during the summer, the Amon Carter will be moving forward with doing in-person summer camps. So that'll be fun.
Nice. Well, Michelle, I see you diligently working on those tacos. Do you mind taking a little bit and just kind of explaining to us what's your process there and some of the steps that you take to make these delicious tacos? And while you're doing that, I am paying attention. I'm going to step away and start prepping mine as well.
These are my cactus. So what I did here is, I don't know if you can see that, but I boiled them with some onion and garlic. And then after I boiled them, I sauteed them just a little bit to kind of, they're really slimy. So just to kind of cut some of that texture. And kind of let that drain. I'm cooking my turkey meat, and I've added some garlic, some cumin, because I love cumin, and salt. And then I'm going to, once this cooks down, put my nopales inside and mix it together. And then I'll get to making my tortillas. I've already made my dough and I've let it sit for a little while. So I have my little rolls there. And then I'll press those down with my little press. So, and I have it all covered up with plastic wrap so it doesn't stick, hopefully. And then I'll put it on the grill and we'll get ready to plate it together later, hopefully.
Holy cow. Now, Michelle, do you enjoy cooking, or are you just doing this for box lunch?
No, I enjoy cooking. I probably don't do it as much as I should, but I really do. I feel like it's just another way to artistically do something different. So that's another thing is I've been creating some other outlets for myself, and I love to bake. That's what I probably love baking more than I love cooking. So
now I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the biggest difference between baking and cooking?
Well, baking, it either works or it doesn't. I mean, you put it together and you just have to wait and see if it's going to happen. With cooking, you can budget a little bit. So, if it's not salty, it's not tasty enough, you add a little bit more flavor. But once the cake or muffins or whatever's done, it's done. And surprise.
I don't know if I've ever heard it explained any better. That's great. So what are some of your go-to bakery items?
Well, I make I make a strawberry cake, and it's gluten-free, and I make that every year for my husband and my daughter's birthdays. So that's kind of my go-to. And then usually during April season, I'll make what's called capirotada, and it's like a bread pudding. I'll make that. So those are some of my favorite ones that
And are tacos your go-to cooking item?
I'm a soup girl, so I like to make soups. So I like white chicken chili, and I usually like to make soup too. So
Well, I don't want to I don't want to discourage any of our past box lunches, but it is quite refreshing to actually see someone who has taken the time and energy to create what is turning out to be quite a delicious looking lunch. So I feel bad. I wish I would have done my shepherd's pie.
I was really excited because I thought, oh, Jason's gonna do something great because you always do like such great meals. But I took over this time.
Well, I'm very grateful to
So
you
I'm curious,
doing
in
that.
shepherd's pie, is
Yes,
that lamb?
not at all. We actually have a client in house, so I didn't have the time to actually get to an oven and make. I can't even believe you would say I make great things. I have always thought I was a cook, and I have learned very quickly through these box lunch episodes that I still have a long way to go.
Oh
no. So any secret ingredients or seasoning that you use to assure quality in those tacos?
Garlic and cumin, those are my go-tos. I can add 6 cloves of garlic and still want more. So I love garlic.
Nice. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the garlic.
Yeah.
We have leaned into these packaged menus and have started using a little bit of I think it's HelloFresh and Every Plate.
Okay.
And it has really been a blessing to not have to buy extra onions. They give you just the right amount of seasoning. And I don't know if some people would call it lazy, but it certainly is calming to just open it up, throw it in, and you're almost always guaranteed consistency. So this shepherd's pie was actually one of those as well. And I've seen a lot of different recipes for shepherd's pie, and this one was pretty simple. So a little bit of oil in a skillet, cut up some onions, saute them, throw in some carrots, and then they just used ground beef. And then of course, boiled some potatoes, and when they were ready, mashed them up. And I know a lot of people put shepherd's pie in the oven and they'll bake it. Don't even have to do that. It was even easier than I anticipated. So once all of that was done with the carrots and the onions and the beef, just mashed up the potatoes with a fork. And I encourage everyone also, I threw a little garlic in there as well, along with some shredded cheese, which is one of my go-to items, and turned out pretty good. So I was pretty excited about it. And anytime I make a meal that's edible, I consider that a win.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned. It's nice to have all of your ingredients. My poor husband, when I'm cooking, I'm kind of a spaz, and I just do things rationally, and I decide, oh, I'm gonna make this elaborate meal, and I don't have half the ingredients. So he has to go back and forth to the store. So he probably hates when I cook something, elaborate. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's nice to have.
I really thought that grocery delivery was the convenience. But I am not going to lie. I have to say that these prepackaged meals have really taken that a step further, and it's quite inspiring. Usually, I've done a lot of set build when I was a kid. I always enjoyed models, and it's really nice to not have extra things laying around when you're done, wondering where they should have gone or where they came from.
Yeah. I'm sure
Yeah.
you get a lot of interesting items as well in your HelloFresh kits that you probably wouldn't use before either.
It's really quite amazing. I'm always, you talk about garlic, and I'm not kidding. I think it's in every single meal. And the other thing that I was amazed about was how many starches and potatoes are literally the go-to side item. And it's been pretty neat. A lot of chicken stock and beef stock as well. And so it's pretty interesting to see how simple and yet diverse a lot of those menus really are.
I bet.
So are you a breakfast, lunch, or dinner person? What's your favorite meal?
Breakfast. I love me some hash browns. I love potatoes. Hash browns and some turkey sausage links, a side of gluten-free pancakes and some eggs, and I'm good for the whole day.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I can eat breakfast any time of the day, and that's probably my go-to as well. We joke a lot in the theater world that we don't have access to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's usually 2 a.m. at the end of a tech week, and then it's usually Waffle House. So that's been the hardest thing for me is learning to eat when normal people eat, and these box lunches have reminded me how little of that I always did before. It was usually a cup of coffee, and that was what you hoped got you through the day.
Old South is really good midnight to have some breakfast in.
Yes, absolutely. So Michelle, now you say you made those tortillas. I know that that is not an easy thing to do. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and what you go through with those homemade tortillas? Because I'm always looking for insight on that.
Corn tortillas are pretty easy, actually. So, I mean, they have the mix that's already made, and I use what's easy, and and that's it. And then just all you do is flip them. I flip them 3 times. I'm flipping them more because I'm not paying attention, but I usually flip them about 3 times, doing like 30 to 40 seconds on each side. And I like mine a little crispy, so that when you put them in your container with the towel, they kind of steam and soften. So they're just really good. And then I like to put a little butter on them too. I think you like butter too, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Now my notes say here that
Yeah.
that you were involved in public art projects. Is that correct?
Yeah, I worked with the Fort Worth Public Art Program for I think 7 years, and I started out as a kind of like an education outreach person, and then I moved into project management, and I did that for about 4 or 5 years. So it was a great way to be introduced into the arts because public art is its own animal. You are not only dealing with professional artists, but you're also dealing with community members, city stakeholders. There's a lot of people involved. So kind of having to, I don't know, create a jazz band with all of these people to create, this really fun, intuitive kind of process is it's interesting. It's fun. I learned a lot. So that was my very first introduction to the art world.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's such an important part of our area. Are you seeing dividends from that? Do you feel as though Fort Worth is looking better with all of these public art projects that are there? And why is it important to have public art uh, in Fort Worth?
Yeah. Um, there's a lot of controversy behind public art. Some people feel like it's just it's not worth, tax money is involved. And so whenever there's tax money involved, there's going to be some naysayers. But I honestly feel like it's just a great way to bring communities, especially those that are underserved, into the discussion about art and what it should be in their communities. And I had the experience, in my experience, we did involve the communities, and it was just great to see them talk about the pride for their community, and I think that's one of the great things about public art is it does bring about some pride into our neighborhoods. So yeah, I think that it's a good thing. I mean, of course, there are some projects that you're like, oh, well, maybe that money should have gone to something else, but but you learn, and I think that you just it's inevitable, but you have to think about the good things about it. And for me, there was so many great good things. It's good for the community, for the artists. They have great programs. When I was there, I was part of a program called Community ID, and what that was is it would allow small neighborhoods to apply for a public art project in their neighborhood. So, I mean, if you think of Elizabeth neighborhood near Fairmount, they have those roundabouts. I'm familiar with that. There's a town right in the middle of one of those roundabouts. And that was put on by the neighborhood through that program. I'm trying to think of another one. There's the Thomas Place Community Center in West Fort Worth. They also were awarded a project. And then, Carver Heights in East Fort Worth also received one at one of the parks. So, I mean, there's some really good programs and that have been developed through that. That's one of them. And yeah, I've had great experiences from it.
Now, I'm going to ask you this because I'm pretty sure that you're safe to answer. And if you don't want to, just let me know. You can certainly skirt around it as well. I hope I'm not putting you too much on the spot. There's been a lot of controversy about these murals and things out in the areas. What are your thoughts on that in particular? And is this a benefit? Is it a blessing? What's the usage of these great murals that I personally think they're great, and I think we should have them all over the place. What are your thoughts on some of these controversies about that?
Such a hard question, Jason.
Well,
no, I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings about it, and I'm not one who's done a lot of murals. So I've only done one in the city and participated in the second one. And I think that, there's some really good, there's positives for that. Again, anytime an artist has an opportunity to express themselves and kind of bring light to a community and to a culture, I mean, there's always a positive about that. But I think that when things start happening where people take advantage of artists or involve artists, and I think another conversation has been about the aesthetics of the murals, which in my case, it's just paint, I mean, you can just paint over it.
true.
And I think that for me, it's the opportunity that's there. If somebody doesn't like it, it'll eventually come down. So I don't know. I think that sometimes we don't like things and we learn to like them because at first maybe we didn't understand them, and then we understand, we live with it, we learn it, we grow, they grow on us, and then we move on about our day. There's other things to be concerned about, but I think that it is creating conversation, just great. It's bringing attention, and it's creating opportunities and jobs. And I have to say, some of these opportunities are created by the artists themselves. So, I mean, that's also wonderful.
Yeah, I think they're great things, and I'm always somewhat confused when you look at I'm going to say the wrong building, on Lancaster, which has been in pre-renovation development for, I think, since '97. There was a recent article about moving that forward. And it's always amazing to me how we are able to ignore, if you will, some of those opportunities in the architecture and the buildings themselves, and then focus so much on what I consider to be a much less necessity, if you will, for the beautification and usage of Fort Worth. And so I believe if you stay in the boundaries of what's being asked, I wish we had murals all over every brick wall. And I think artistic beauty needs to be out there everywhere. And I wish we focused as much just on the development in terms of art as well. And I know that architecture is its own art, and there's a lot of history here that could be touched upon and built back up. And I know those discussions are starting to happen again. And we've got a lot of work to do as artists. And I think if they're willing to step up and take on those challenges, that we should do all we can to give them the tools and the things that they need to make Fort Worth a beautiful place. So I can't wait to see where it goes. These controversial issues, you know, are something that I'm always encouraged when artists engage in those talks. And I think it just allows us a place at the table moving forward. And, you know, Sundance Square is another interesting opportunity for us to revamp and re-inspire as artists engagement in the community. So, so I just wanted to pick your brain and see what your thoughts were about that.
Yeah, I also think that, you know, I mean, there's also a little controversy just because I think sometimes artists are eager for those opportunities, and depending on whose hands it gets in, calls and open jobs and things like that, sometimes things artists get taken advantage of. And I think that's also where, you know, we need to be a little bit more proactive, and we need to pay our artists. You know, I mean, I know there was some issue coming up, and talking about this now is just thinking about that with an artist who was creating a mural for, I think it's one of the city's programs. It was graffiti abatement, but, you know, just not being valued as an artist or paid. And so I think that just with that happening, that really is going to change our dynamic and how we move forward as well, even with public art and other organizations in the city. Hopefully that changes the way we do things, because like I said, it's a great opportunity, but we want to make sure that we're doing it in the best way possible for everybody.
Yeah, I could not agree more. There's a lot of parallels with the restaurant industry, the artists industry, and living wages. What do we owe the people that are doing the work for us? And so I'll be real interested to see where all of this goes. I know that the pandemic has brought a lot of things to light that have been going on for a long time, and I'm very encouraged to see how we continue to engage with these things. And my biggest hope through all of this is that we don't just act like this never happened, and that we are able to embrace some of these challenges that have been brought to light. So I'm still encouraged, and certainly haven't given up yet that we can still come out of this better and bigger and stronger, and hopefully more united. And so I'll continue to hope and do all I can to make sure that that's moving forward. So how them tacos coming?
Oh, they're done. They're ready. So
Well,
they're ready to be plated.
Let's plate up before things get too cool. Now my plating's easy, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give mine away. And I'll just let everybody see here that I just have my little Tupperware, and those mashed potatoes are right there. I've got my carrots as well. And as I always say, people don't think this always looks the best, but it sure does taste good. So there's that shepherd's pie.
So I'm going to do something that you probably will like. My grandmother used to do this all the time. So before you plate a tortilla, you always put a little butter on it. So I like to do that with all of mine.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with butter. It should go on everything.
I heard on one of your conversations that you love butter, so I thought you would love that.
Butter and cheese.
Okay, my husband is known to. My husband's known to make some really good hot sauce. So he made some hot sauce, but we can't ever keep enough in here. So this is all I have left. So I'm gonna put that on top. Okay, are you ready to see mine?
I am drooling. Oh my goodness. Wow.
You got your big garlic cloves in there and your nopales with the meat and the taco.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm gonna eat.
All right, so you're going in my little notebook about people I'm going to try to get to have lunch with in person. So bravo, that looks absolutely scrumptious.
Thank you.
So
Well,
Michelle,
I have really good tips in my family.
oh, it just looks divine, and I'm not even kidding. I'm going to send you an email and say, where can I pick some of those up?
Shout out to my grandma and my Aunt Amy for teaching me how to cook. So.
Well, they taught you well by the looks of it. So yeah, congratulations. So Michelle, how and where can people find your art and keep up with what's going on?
So you can find me on my website or on Instagram, and definitely through the Amon Carter programs that are going on. We just finished one yesterday, which was Cocktails at the Carter. So I did an adult lesson online on Facebook, so you can find that. Next Thursday, they're also doing another one with one of the other Carter community artists. So make sure to do that. My website is michellecgonzales.com. Gonzales with an S. And then my Instagram hashtag is mcgonzalesart. So you can find me there.
Awesome.
But I also wanted to give a shout out to my husband because he's a musician and he's in a local band here. So shout out to Royal Sons. Make sure you check them out.
Royal Sons, I'm familiar with them. They're a great band, and they have a website too, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know what it is. I think it's just RoyalSonsTX.com. I could be wrong, but they're on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be sure to send you the link.
Well, we will track down that, and we will put it right down here in the comments as well, and we'll make sure that we give them a shout out as well. So Michelle, any insightful information or just anything in general you would like to share with our lovely community out there?
Well, I kid around a lot, but I want to say that it is Mental Health Awareness Month for May. So I would say just be kind to yourself. I know that for myself, I'm speaking for myself, that I've noticed I'm a really anxious person, and people who know me are probably rolling their eyes because they already knew this. But I think with the pandemic, it's been a little detrimental at times. Although it could also be my superpower, but I just want to tell everybody just to be kind to yourselves and to make sure that you're in connection with a good group of people who you can talk to. So. Yes,
I think that says it very well, and I could not agree more. So, Michelle, it has been a pleasure. I cannot thank you enough for joining us and sharing this great insight. I look forward to seeing you in person. And with that being said, this is where we will toast on our lunches And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of our Box Lunch program. We'll be back again next week with another exciting episode. And in the meantime, stay safe out there. Michelle, thank you so much. Bon appetit, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye, everyone.